Quería preguntaros cómo os sentís ahora, antes de entrar en llamada y tal, en plan, después de ver la peli. ¿O ha sido indiferente, o os ha impactado, o os ha dado igual, o ha sonado familiar? ¿Opiniones? Bueno, que levante la mano quien se sienta personalmente atacado por la película. Vale, pues que levante la mano quien haya podido sacar algo de la película. Ok, nice. Entonces tenemos cosas de que hablar ahora. Me tranquiliza. Vale, Mateo, ¿vamos a tener esa pequeña intervención o...? Porque tú querías hablar, ¿no, Alba?
Me ha traído el micro a mí directamente, yo creo que es por defecto, porque vengo siempre.
Pero es que te he visto haciendo así y digo, bueno.
Nada, yo quería decir que está bastante bien representado lo que es el nihilismo, un nihilismo del que padecemos mucho también ahora mismo en esta sociedad. Como detalle solo querría decir que me ha resultado muy sorprendente cómo se narra con una neutralidad la voz de la mujer, la situación. No conozco si es que ese trabajo existe y se hace de esa manera, pero me ha parecido muy sorprendente.
Me gusta que hayas mencionado eso, de hecho, porque mira, si quieres ya, esto se lo puedes comentar directamente al director. Yo voy a entrar ya en llamada, mientras van llegando y demás, pues vamos hablando un poquito. Y recuerda esa pregunta porque creo que tiene una anécdota para contarte bastante interesante.
Estaba puesto. ¿Conectamos ya?
Vale. ¿Se ve, no?
Sí.
Ay, por favor. Qué pesado, que no me ve. Bueno. Vale.
¿Cuándo vas a entrar, de Aroha?
El organizador. Es la continuación de la peli. Tiene que creo que Martín tiene que hacer. Vale, un segundito porque tenemos problemas técnicos como para variar en la UMA, pero bueno.
Cineforum.
Lo bueno es que vamos como con 5 minutos de adelanto, entonces esta pregunta que acaba de hacer es bastante relevante. Si los demás tenéis alguna otra pregunta y tal. Bueno, mientras tanto, yo os puedo ir dando la turra con mis cositas para que vayáis viendo si realmente a lo mejor... Realmente ninguno de nosotros habremos entendido la película de la misma manera, porque cuando tú haces cualquier tipo de obra, nadie de las personas que la consuma la va a interpretar, reflexionar ni crear algo, si hay una persona con inquietudes creativas, que sea igual a nada de lo que hará otro individuo. Pero vamos a poder ver si hemos tenido pues, esas similitudes en la forma en la que hemos pensado a la hora de ver la película. Primero, me gustaría decir que con la siguiente pregunta que os voy a hacer, que es un poco del estilo de la anterior, de cómo sentís después de ver la peli y tal, pero un poquito más concreta. Y esta incluso podría llegar a tener un tinte incluso sociológico, porque creo que dependiendo de la manera en la que hemos crecido unos u otros, nos puede haber afectado de manera distinta. ¿Cuándo os habéis sentido peor, más incómodo, os ha perturbado más, o habéis sentido de verdad un sentimiento de Dios mío, ojalá no estar ahí? ¿Más en la película, en la escena del tiroteo o en la escena de la limusina? De la graduación. Sí. A perpetrar. Es curioso, de hecho, de esto tenemos que hablar, pero ahora cuando Mateo consiga entrar en la reunión con estas personas, es que Marcial tiene que entrar, creo. Pero bueno, vamos a esperar a que estas personas puedan entrar, porque si no, me va a dar mucha pena, la verdad. Bueno, y más a ellos, que creo que han hecho súper madrugón para tener el cambio horario y todo compensado. Bueno, este componente incómodo del que estás hablando, yo creo de hecho que se podría diferenciar muy claramente en qué puede ser el detonante de, ¿no? Y como una especie de causa y efecto. Tengo que decir que en ningún momento vamos a hacer ningún tipo de apología a este tipo de actos. De hecho, me gustaría que utilizáramos esta película como recurso de reflexión, porque precisamente yo elegí esta película, entre otras, que se centra mucho en lo que es la ira adolescente y tal, porque una cosa que me llama mucho la atención es que el principal responsable de esa ira, al final, es el adolescente. Que al final es un niño que está rodeado de un mundo que puede o no controlar, y en este caso, de hecho, hay dos tipos de personalidades más propensas a un tipo de actitudes u otras, que en las que el contexto tiene más o menos, sí.
¿Puedo?
Sí,
una
sí.
cosa, porque has hecho esta pregunta y me resulta muy interesante, la limusina o el tiroteo, y luego has dicho tú misma que hay una correlación, ¿no? Y es que en la limusina podemos ver, a mi parecer, cómo el resto de personajes expresan su masculinidad, ¿no? Cómo la mayoría de bromas giran en torno al acoso sexual a las chavalas que están en la limusina, pero justamente en ese entorno el protagonista, bueno, el coprotagonista no hace esta clase de comentarios porque él va a expresar su masculinidad de una forma tanto más tóxica y tanto más destructiva, pero al final es lo mismo, la línea que conecta a ambas es la misma, es la masculinidad. De hecho, cuando graba el vídeo final, el ejemplo que pone Cal, creo que es Cal, el ejemplo que pone es: me llamasteis marica por llevar una camisa.
Ah, no, ese es el moreno, el
eso,
Andre.
el otro,
Sí.
dice eso, me llamasteis marica, y en la Edad Media se hacían duelos, y luego tienes que fijarte en la estadística de que no hay tiroteos escolares llevados a cabo por mujeres, por ejemplo. A día de hoy, además, tenemos como muchos más ejemplos. Esto no ha parado, solo ha seguido sucediendo. Entonces, a tu primera pregunta, que era para lo que te he cogido el micro, no me ha resultado particularmente impactante. En plan, la escena final es muy bruta, los gritos y la desesperación, pero es que ya lo he visto en la vida real, entonces...
Y
sí.
sabes que te digo que puede ser incluso más superficial, en el sentido de, aquí también entra a debate la manera en la que estamos tan acostumbrados a la violencia por los propios medios. De hecho, a los medios se les hace muchísima referencia a lo largo de la película, en diferentes aspectos y en diferentes contextos. Me encanta que haya sacado a relucir el tema de la masculinidad, porque precisamente es algo que como que converge a lo largo de toda la película, no solo con esta expresión de la masculinidad, que en todos los aspectos en los que vemos que está siendo expresada es de una manera bastante que se podría mejorar, ¿no? Por ejemplo, tenemos al padre del Andre, que no puede expresar sus sentimientos. Esto causa que el Andre tenga un tipo de necesidades que no se ven cubiertas emocionalmente, que se acaban volcando en un personaje que es más manipulado, bla, bla. Exacto. No, pero no lo digo como si eso fuera algo malo, sino que lo digo porque realmente incluso en esos aspectos en los que afectan de una manera más sutil, como esta imposibilidad de poder hablar de unos sentimientos o gestionar unos sentimientos y tal, a mí el padre del Andre es un personaje que me encanta porque sale 2 veces y las 2 veces que sale te la suelta, que dices tú, me ha dicho la película entera. Exacto, pero... Exacto. No, sigue, termina y luego lo pasa.
Para mí lo que junta a la masculinidad no es solo la masculinidad tóxica de estos personajes, sino el hecho de que tienen los medios económicos para llevar a cabo la masacre, tienen las armas en su casa, se creen que están como llevando a cabo una misión secreta, pero a nadie le importa porque son blancos, o sea, pueden ir con armas por la calle, a todo el mundo le da igual, ¿sabes? Entonces, siento que sin lo de la clase económica a la que pertenecen y la clase racial a la que pertenecen, luego en lo de la poesía y todo eso, pero eso ya quiero, si puedo hacerle preguntas a los directores y tal.
Sí, de hecho va a estar, bueno, ¿Cómo va, Mateo?
Dice que está en ello.
Pero le escribo un mensaje a...
Escríbele, si no hacemos zoom como la otra vez.
Vale.
Rápido.
No, un segundo, le escribo. Mientras tanto, ¿querías participar?
Sí, bueno, yo creo que se me escucha, ¿no? Que no, más o menos me escucha esto. Vale. Pues, a ver, a mí me...
Perdona que sí, es que le estoy escribiendo al director y eso, pero te escucho.
A ver, yo tengo 40, voy a cumplir 49, ¿vale? Con lo cual, para mí, esta película, que no la vi en su momento, que no sabía de su existencia, a mí personalmente sí me sigue impactando mucho la violencia. Pero sí reconozco que en estos 20 años desde que la película se hizo hasta el día de hoy, pues, ¿cómo lo diría sin que suene? Puede parecer incluso un poco naif comparada con otras películas que han salido después, que son mucho más... Yo también estoy de acuerdo con el compañero, yo creía que se iba a quedar en ese plano desde el coche y tal, y que no íbamos a ver todo lo que pasaba en el instituto y el suicidio de ellos, ¿no? Pero una vez que uno piensa en todo lo que se ha ido evolucionando en la violencia, creo que cada vez estamos más expuestos a la violencia y cada vez como que nos vamos anestesiando más y nos va impresionando menos la violencia. A mí sí, o sea, hay momentos que no he podido mirar porque me resulta demasiado sobrecogedor, pero sí es verdad que si preguntas a gente joven, incluso a adolescentes de hoy en día, esto le parece una chorrada comparada...
Me parece de meme.
Yo qué sé, pues por ejemplo la que cuenta, porque además hay muchas películas ya basadas en hechos reales, porque esto no deja de ser una ficción creada por un director, con actores y una película ficticia, ¿no?
Sí.
Pero si por ejemplo te paras a ver la película sobre los asesinatos en la isla esta de Suecia, cuando mataron a tanta gente joven y ese tipo de cosas, es mucho más dura. Porque además luego vemos el juicio, vemos cómo las víctimas intentan...
Aquí está bien.
Intentan recuperarse, o sea, mismamente la semana pasada vi Playground, que es una película que me parece que va muy en la línea de esto, que yo, hasta que no vi el final, no recordaba el caso real, porque en su momento fue también una noticia bomba, lo que hicieron, lo que pasó de dos niños
¿Se escucha?
de 11 años,
No.
conocieron a un niño más pequeño en un parque, se lo llevaron y lo mataron.
Esto es el caso de Inglaterra de hace ya bastante tiempo.
Pues hay una película polaca que se llama Playground, que a la vez estructuralmente es muy parecida a esta, porque los niños se van grabando y van contando y empiezan haciendo cosas muy pequeñitas y una violencia muy sutil, hasta que la escalada de violencia, tú no te imaginas que cuando cogen al niño se lo van a llevar para hacerle todo lo que le van a hacer luego.
Ya.
Entonces, creo que hoy en día tenemos demasiadas películas, no sé cómo se vive en Estados Unidos, porque no vivo allí, no conozco gente de allí, pero sí desde aquí, desde nuestra, por lo menos desde mi perspectiva, como te decía antes, ¿no? Por mi edad, por mi...
Sí.
One moment.
No, sorry. No, actually. ¿Pero con quién estamos en esto?
Hello. Hola.
Hola.
Good. I'd like to just say real quick, muchas, yeah, I can see you and hear you. Muchas gracias, Alba y Mateo por todos. Lo siento, no hablo español.
Thank you so much for coming, both of you.
Big applause for Ben, please.
Yeah.
It sounds like there's more than 2 people there.
One thing, I want to say one thing before we start, since they are already here. ¿André está ahí? ¿Y no está aquí? ¿O que no me entero? Is Andre here? Or I can't see anything from here. So,
He's coming.
just a little bit of an update. We were just talking a little bit about the movie as we were doing all the, preparations. Hi, Andre. Thank you for
Hello.
coming. Hola.
Thank you for having me.
So, so far, we were just talking about the movie already because it's had a very good welcoming, right? And we were just talking about the difference between the way we sort of consumed violent media when we were growing up in the 90s or so, and the way teenagers do it now. Like sort of a reference, making a differentiation between how this generational gap can affect to this. And your movie is relevant in this because the way the shooting is depicted, someone in the audience said that it may even look naive, but not in a bad way, because since we are so used to like special effects now and everything. But I was gonna say, and this is one of the questions that I wanted to ask you, and I think maybe I mentioned the other day, it was basically that the way you stop this trip we are having all together as an audience along Carl and Andre during all this adventure they're having, taping everything. And then we stop accompanying them, and they just leave us in the car. And then when they do the actual shooting, I feel like it's kind of a way of dissociation. It's kind of breaking with the reality you built with the tapes, and it's kind of weird because I think that with all those tapes, you were showing something that was more magical and fantastic and more kind of like their delusions of, you know, this thing they had in mind. And then when you show it through all the CCTV cameras, it's more like, this is actually happening, but now you're seeing it from an angle that it's making you feel absolutely out of the picture. Like, it's like you don't even feel like you were there with both of them the whole time. Like you're completely apart from what is happening. And I think that's exactly what media does with the way it depicts violence. And that's why everyone is so accustomed to violence now. And that's my intervention. I'm going to translate it real quick, just for the audience, and then you can like talk. Sorry. Yo básicamente he dicho que en la película hemos hablado de cómo el tiroteo se presenta de esta manera tan naif y tan que realmente es así con las referencias que tenemos actuales. Pero para mí es más como una rotura con la realidad, una especie de disociación en la que nosotros hemos acompañado a estos dos personajes en su fantasía de que están en la guerra, lo que sea, tal y cual, que de hecho va como subiéndose gradualmente hasta llegar al punto en el que se hace realidad, y para mí este punto es en el que más fuera de la realidad estamos. Curiosamente, a mí me dio ese efecto. Okay, so now you can like explain what was your point with that and all those audiovisual resources and stuff. ¿Se oye bien?
Well, I guess I would first start by saying that with this approach to telling this story, you're embracing a cinematic minimalism.
Mm-hmm.
And
Adiós. Okay, this is so funny porque like we just saw one of the crudest movies in like the last 20 years, and we're just gonna have a good time here now. Oh, Ben is back. Okay, good.
Did something happen?
Okay, go on.
Where did I cut out?
No, como que
Cinematic minimalism.
this kind of
Cinematic
reminds me of
minimalism.
the scene at the Poetry Club, you know, like where he makes the other guys start again. Okay, básicamente
The
estaba
limits
diciendo
of,
que este recurso es
virtual
como
gathering.
un recurso de cinemática minimalista a la hora de hacer el tiroteo y demás.
So really what it comes down to is perspective. Right? So the most of the movie is really through the two characters' perspective.
Vale.
They're showing you what they want to show you.
Ajá, vale. Toda la película realmente te acabas sintiendo así porque tú estás acompañando a los personajes desde su perspectiva. Ellos solo te están enseñando lo que quieren enseñarte, solo te están dando realmente su parte de la historia, sus ideas sobre la historia, etc.
Inadvertently, they end up showing their humanity as well. During that time.
During what part? Come again, I'm sorry.
While they're doing their sort of video diary.
Oh, yeah.
They kind of accidentally show their humanity.
Yeah, that's right. Y mientras hacen estas cintas, no solo están representando este papel de fantasía que han creado como para autoconvencerse de que van a hacer esta misión, sino que están mostrando realmente quiénes son. Like, as the way I see it, you can see, I don't know if I'm like... The way I see it is that you can see that these two kids kind of like live in this fantasy world, but are also so vulnerable in their own way. And this is where we're going to talk about the education context and family and all that stuff. And what do you have to say about their true beings while they're on camera? Because you as a creator, and also Kyle and Andre, I'm sure they have something to say about the way they developed these characters, so they ended up being what they were. And I would love to hear about your view on that.
Yeah, Cal and Andre, you guys answer that.
Cat there. Oh.
Cal, do you want to start?
Ay, no se oye. Can you hear me correctly or
Yes.
¿Me oyen o no? Porque vale. Pues no me están contestando, por eso digo. Did you hear the last question I made? Because I don't know if my things. So you
Yes.
can like speak now if you want. And the cat can speak too if they want.
I think that for me, when we were in the process of making the film, a lot of what you see in the humanity of the character comes from the environment that Ben created while filming. We were really having fun. And I think in that way, we didn't go into creating this film thinking we had to make it the darkest and the most evil thing. We began from the perspective that they were naive teenagers and were slowly kind of tricking themselves into this act at the end of the film.
Okay, I'm going to translate that real quick and then I'm going to add something. Bueno, no sé si habéis entendido la mayoría lo que ha dicho. Básicamente, los dos personajes tuvieron muchísima de improvisación y aparte lo que hicieron fue sobre todo moverse en el mundo que había construido ya Ben. De hecho, esto lo he comentado en un vídeo porque el mundo que creó Ben para la película es flipante y la verdad que estaba totalmente estudiado, los backgrounds de los personajes y todo, entonces podrían moverse libremente dentro de estos personajes, sobre todo teniendo en cuenta que eran dos adolescentes que eran naïves, en plan que eran tontos y que poco a poco se iban metiendo cada vez más en su fantasía. Y de hecho esto es algo que quería recalcar porque sí que es cierto que con las dos dinámicas que yo puedo apreciar de estos dos personajes se retroalimentan y esto sucede mucho de una manera muy peligrosa en la que tú puedes decir una tontería que al final acaba convirtiéndose en esto, porque lo que empezó tirándole huevos a la casa de uno, al final yo creo que esa elevación gradual de esta misión y de como el subidón, ¿no? Y de esta retroalimentación tan peligrosa, está muy bien captada en la película. Y ahora voy a explicarle a ellos un poquito el plan, y ahora explico en plan esta parte un poco más de la educación, y luego ya pasamos a hablar de comida. So, I just told them that I translated what you said, and also I wanted to tell you guys that the world building that Ben made for the movie was amazing, because I got to see the website that he created for the whole thing, like with both your characters' backgrounds.
Andre made it. Andre created the website.
Oh, I didn't know that. Trivia. That's a good piece of trivia there. Thank you. But like, did you create all those stories, or was it like your script and Andre was like IT man, like doing the website, and that's it?
Ben wrote all of the content. Ben created all of the story elements, and I was just the hands on the keyboard.
Okay.
My brother actually wrote a lot of that.
Yeah, I was going to say that. La película no solo está dirigida por Ben, también está coescrita entre él y su hermano Chris, que es el primo de Andre en la película, el que le roban las armas y todo eso. Está ahí en el ajo también. So I just wanted to say that this, when you said that as they grow into this fantasy they're building, this is actually something that happens in this kind of cases when you get two very lonely individuals who had this very specific kinds of personalities that you can clearly see on Carl and on Andre, and when they retroalimenta, ¿cómo se dice? Yeah, like they give this sort of feedback the one to the other, and they motivate the other to like go further with things to a very dangerous point.
Alba, can I interject, because there's something about that I think is really I've always thought about, and it echoes something Cal said, which is that there's similarity in collaboration of all kinds, whether you're collaborating to make something beautiful or whether you're collaborating to make something awful, and that the
Oh no, que vuelva el gato. El gato lo ha arreglado. ¡Adiós! Ahora somos todos nosotros. Bueno, a ver. This is it. Okay, Ben, I'm sorry, but I think we had like some sort of glitch there. I'm not sure that we could hear you. No, estaba todo congeladito. ¿Te imaginas que se nos ha caído el internet en la facultad?
La peli está bien, está guay. Ha molado.
I'm so sorry about all these technical problems. Like, I think I am the one causing all these technical problems. Aquí no, aquí está congeladísimo. Can you hear me, guys? Anyway, maybe we could like keep this as a podcast, but I don't even know if you're still there. No sé si siguen ahí, la verdad. Bueno, viendo las...
I learned a lot from you then.
Vale, Mateo, habla con el tuyo porque esto, yo estoy aquí en plan, mejor con el tuyo.
Oh, now you sound clear as a bell.
So where were we? Ben, I'm going to translate the last thing you were saying that was about the collaboration.
Yeah.
Okay, que dice, Ben se inspiró muchísimo en cómo cualquier tipo de plan colaborativo, al final la dinámica acaba funcionando igual, sea para un bien común o un plan que acabe bastante mal.
Yo quiero decir,
Sí, ahora de hecho me gustaría ya que empecemos con las preguntas del público y demás, ya que están aquí y demás. So now yo no sé si me oye. We are going to start letting the audience ask you questions, all right? Uh-huh. So who wants to start? Teníais el micrófono por allí, ¿verdad? Estaba como... Vamos por turno. Empezamos. Sí, podéis, si sabéis inglés y tenéis el micrófono, podéis decirlo
¿Le
directamente.
puedo hablar en inglés directamente?
Sí, pero es que el micrófono funciona o estamos también.
Hola, hola, hola. Hola.
Vale.
Oh,
Can
okay.
you hear?
Hello.
Can you hear it?
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect. Louder.
So, yeah, I had a few questions. Give me a second. Well, first of all, I love your ¿cómo se dice? Actuaciones.
You're acting.
I love your acting and your performances. One little thing that I noticed is that well, the dynamic between the two characters is very marked, right? Like Cal is clearly the most sensible, poetic, artistic-minded one, and Andre is more of the planner, and also like he's more practically minded, right? So when we see we get little peeks at the backstory of Andre, for example, when Cal is talking with his girlfriend, like his friend that's a girl, not his, he seems to have told her like a lot of bad stuff that Andre has lived through, right? Like bullying. But it's more of an implied thing that Cal isn't like actively bullied. He's just really shy and off-putting to be around because of his shyness. While
Wait, are you mixing up their names? En plan, ¿quién piensa que es Cal y quién piensa que él?
Cal is the artistic one, right?
Sí,
Yeah,
vale,
okay.
vale.
Well, sorry, this isn't really a question. That's just more of something I noticed. The question was, we spoke a little bit before you came into the call about masculinity and its the place it plays in the story, right? Because at the end, for example, at the finished video when they are confessing basically for the media and everything else, the examples they put are of emasculating things and like this guy called me a faggot when I was walking down the hallway, or this guy I mean, they did duels in medieval times. So yeah, I also put the example that there are no school shootings perpetrated by women. That's, I don't know, I think that's something to
there are some, but they're but very rare.
Oh, I
and they happen like one in a...
There's big,
There was
more
one not
gender
too long
equity
ago,
in the space of school shootings.
Yeah. And yeah, I wanted to know just how much of that was you actively trying to confront that, or how much was it just the zeitgeist, like the because it's very 2000s, like the jokes, the homophobic jokes, the kind of yeah, when they burn a Nazi, you know, an swastika, all of that, it feels a lot like the 2000s.
It is.
Really edgy. Yeah, that's my question. How much of it was on purpose?
I'm curious to hear what Andre and Cal have to say about this, actually.
Sure. So where the characterization for the Andre character comes from, I think, is the people who are usually loudest in a room, the people who usually assert themselves the most, in my experience, are typically the people who are least secure or most insecure, I guess, and often who know the least about whatever subject they're asserting. And I think Andre's defense mechanism is to assert himself and make himself as big as possible to one other person, where it's safe to do so, because he's made so small elsewhere. And that's his way of compensating. So when people say that he's the leader or the more aggressive one, I think it's an act, because he can't behave that way elsewhere. He has to overcompensate for it privately with Cal.
¿Traduzco? ¿Necesitáis que traduzca o...? Vale.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna pass the mic. Just one little thing I noticed about your acting, Andre. When you are shooting at the stuffed animals and all of that, you make a really like a face of like you are really putting the face of the people that bullied you in the stuffed animals, you know, like it's a kind of look. I love that look.
Like very angry.
Yeah, really angry, really good acting.
Thank you. Thank you.
Vale, básicamente mientras pasamos el micrófono.
I would just add real quick too that it's always good to remember that in the context of the perspective of how this movie is being presented, that you could think of Andre and Cal as narrators and kind of unreliable narrators. And actually, I've come to kind of feel that all narrators are unreliable narrators.
Vale, esto es interesante. Sobre lo que ha dicho Andre antes, básicamente que cuando él se presenta de esta manera, porque es una especie de actuación por el propio personaje, ya que él, al ser como realmente inseguro y un eslabón débil, tiene que compensar con toda esa como presencia de boom y que la gente se asuste y que todo el mundo piense que es muy agresivo y demás. Y luego lo que ha añadido Ben es que como personajes realmente se pueden ver como narradores y que realmente nunca existe un narrador que sea 100% fiel a lo que está ocurriendo, porque siempre va a tener como esa subjetividad ingrained, esa subjetividad totalmente arraigada en su propia narración, en la visión que tiene de lo que está pasando y de cómo lo expresa y demás. About what Andre said, I wanted to add something because I have some notes here about that. Just that it's that when his character, and not only his but also Cal's, I love seeing how Cal really thinks like he actually. This is what I got from your acting, and this is what I got from your lines and the way you approached your character. But about superiority, how do you say this? I don't know. I feel like inside all kinds of superiority, porque suena súper raro ahora esta palabra, ¿se dice así? Vale. There's an underlying feeling of being less than everyone else, and kind of like, because of this, you then have to get above people who are weaker than you. And I think this is also something that the movie lets you see when at the last scene when these guys go and burn their crosses. There's this one guy who says they were all like 14 years old. And something funny that I noticed is that every time Cal or Andre tell like an anecdote where they had a bad time, or maybe I don't know, the note from the girl in the class or something, most of the time they talk about the past that has affected them. They were 14. They were in the 8th grade or something like that. So it's kind of like you were going through that when you were that age, and now all your victims were people going just through the same stuff you were going through. You know, in the end, it's kind of like, it's useless. That is a wasted life, I think. And that's what I got from the movie. I don't know if that's me like overanalyzing things, but I really love that detail because I think that being 14 is a very critical age. So I think that was a good detail.
Yo quería decir antes, bueno, me tiene que traducir ella en verdad, que yo quería decir, ¿está conectado? Sí, que quería decir antes de cuando han hablado de que Cal y André son como un equipazo buenísimo a la hora de hacer cosas. Lo que pasa es que las cosas que hacen son horribles, pero quería remarcar que si le puedes decir que realmente, qué pena, porque son buenísimos planeando cosas. O sea, la verdad es que
Si hubiera sido bueno.
si hubiera sido un plan para darle una sorpresa a su madre o algo así, yo qué sé, habría sido espectacular. Porque son buenísimos y no sé cuántos de ellos hay o cuántos de Ben, pero realmente es una película que si no terminara como termina, sería súper inspiradora en plan de cómo hacer las cosas y llevarlas a cabo. Lo que pasa es que es horrorosa en ese sentido, pero es una de las cosas que más me gusta, lo buenos que habrían sido para hacer las cosas bien y lo hacen todo al lado malo. Es una
Passion
pena.
planners.
Sí, passion planners.
So basically what Aroha said, and this is one of the things that influenced her the most about your movie and your acting and everything, was that how good you both are to plan things and like actually make them happen. So if you would have been a couple of good guys and maybe we're actually planning like a surprise for your mom, a surprise birthday party or something, like that would have been so great because you were just so good as planners, and it's sad that you went the wrong way, but that was her commentary about your
That's the perfect way to kind of say what I was trying to say before about the universality of collaboration. How it's put it to one end, put it to the other. There's something beautiful about collaboration, even when it's awful.
Okay, I'm going to lean onto any other questions. Mira, sí, tenemos unas cuantas preguntas. We are going to talk a little bit more about like the psychology of the characters and everything, and then we're going to lean on to the arts and stuff.
Creo que es mejor si se lo traduces tú porque yo lo...
Pero dilo alto.
Vale.
Vale, nada, que les quería decir que felicidades, que la película me ha encantado y que realmente, en plan, que realmente, o sea, me gustaría como remarcar que previamente a que ellos entraran en la llamada y tal, hemos estado hablando y eso, de qué nos parecía la peli y tal, y que lo que hace que me dé muchísimo miedo es lo real que es, ¿no? Cómo está, o sea, hemos hablado de cómo se queda el plano ahí puesto en el coche y tal, pero realmente el hecho de que aparezcan las cámaras de seguridad, que se escuche todo el rato lo de Andrea, are you here? No, eso a mí me ha causado una ansiedad y un miedo, y el hecho de que sea tan real y de que evidentemente me imagino que el director se ha basado en el footage que se encontraron previamente y eso, pero no sé si es como una decisión, o sea, la pregunta es, no sé si es una decisión que él ha tomado de que lo quería hacer lo más fidedigna posible, o que no tenía medios, o es una amalgama de todas esas cosas, pero que el hecho de cómo está filmada y de las decisiones, que parece como todo muy aleatorio y tal, pero que me parece que está todo medido al milímetro, que se nota muchísimo, y que de verdad que felicidades, que me ha gustado mucho la peli. Congratulations, guys.
Te digo una cosa, creo que tú y yo tenemos que hablar de esto porque creo que has visto millones de detalles. So basically she was saying that congratulations because of this film really impacted her, and it was a very good work on both on direction, acting, and all the decisions you made regarding the narrative and the choice of cameras and everything, like the whole environment you made, involving both of the stories. She said that maybe she doesn't know if it was like you didn't have enough budget or whatever it was, or it was a decision that you really wanted. Like, it sounded horribly like this, but I talk like this, I'm sorry. But the thing is that she really loved it because she believes that you nailed it, like the way you did it with the resources you had. It was just perfect. So congratulations.
Well, tell her thank you, and I will say that when I saw Columbine shooting happening on the news, I remember feeling very strongly that I wanted to make a movie about that, and I thought that the only way you could do it would be at an epic scale, like P.T. Anderson does Columbine, and there was no way I could do that. And then as I did research, and I found that the two kids at Columbine had made a video diary it occurred to me that that's something that I had done for my whole life with my friends, and that I knew a lot about that, and I knew how to use that cinematically. And what became kind of creative necessity over the course of working on it, I was really grateful for those limitations, because I think it just is such, it would have been awful if had I got to do it the way I wanted to originally.
And how was that way?
Real awful.
What they? Okay.
I said it would have been really bad if I had gotten to do it the way that I wanted to do it originally. And the way that I had to do it because of budget limitations really was a lot better.
Vale. Ok, la última palabra es que no me entra. El re-off, estoy medio sorda, lo siento. But I'm going to translate that. Básicamente, sí que con los recursos que tenía fue con lo que hizo la narrativa de la película y tal, pero también basó muchísimo de la experiencia que había tenido previamente él mismo, porque cuando se descubrió lo de los chavales de Columbine que tenían sus diarios y demás, que eso fue después de que pasara y todo eso, él mismo había hecho cosas así con sus amigos en el instituto y demás, entonces es como una fuente de inspiración muy grande, y aquí es donde me faltaba la última parte de información, que es que si hubiera tenido los medios para hacerlo como hubiera podido hacerlo, el re-off que no, Eric. Ojo, vale. Estoy sorda. I'm sorry, I'm having hearing problems. Okay, so now, there were more hands, right? Yeah. Es intervención. And then at 30, we can...
Hello, I will try to speak English, sorry about my accent. A bit loud. Louder now? Everybody here. I would like to thanks to all of you, including the UMA and all the people here and all the people in the connection, for this exciting evening, even if we have some moments very, very hard, like the shooting one. We were talking before, I'm the one who said before that I think that the film is a little naive, but in a good way, because I'm older, so in these 20 years, we see many films that is more, the violence that they show is more hard that the one that you show, because you only do it in the last moments of the films. But I was remember films like, I don't know if you know Playground, that is a Polish film about things that is happening here in Europe. This is one story about two kids that they was 11 years old, and they kidnapped a little boy of 6, and they killed the guy. And now they make there is a director who has the brave to make the film. It was forbidden in some festivals and some places, because it's really hard to see the last part that is the same like your film. You see all the time the kids talking about to do bad things. They start to do things very softly, and the last stance that you see is how they kill the boy. So I can remember a lot of examples that films from America, from USA, that we receive after Bowling for Columbine or things like that, even not fictional. I talking about films that they use real facts to make a movie and to show what the reason to the people make that, or only to show. For example, I don't know if you have the news about one island in Switzerland, that there is one guy who make exactly the same that the actors in the film. They recording a lot of videotapes, they leave a diary, and they go to an island where the children of a high class politics there were in a summer camp, and one guy go and shooting a lot of them and there is a film here in Europe that is so hard to see because it's starting with the shooting, and after you see the recovery of the victims that survive, and after you see the trial and everything. So I would like to know, because I'm not in America, I don't have no many relationships with American people, so I don't know if for you in your country you feel the same, that you see now your films and you see that there is a lot of films that now is more violence that yours. And I would like to ask to the actors too. They were so young when they did this film. I would like to know if it's changed to you in something, or what make you feel, or if it give you any how can I say it? If make you to grow up differently if you didn't make these films with this director and this script. Thank you.
Before the actors answer, can I just ask you guys to put the name of the Polish film that she mentioned in the chat so that I can see the name of the film? I couldn't hear it well.
Come again?
Earlier she had mentioned a Polish film and asked if we'd seen it.
It's a short film, Playground. They say.
Playground?
El director? Playground.
Playground. Okay, thanks. I'll check it out.
It's in. ¿Están filming? Ah, no, I'm filming in. Oh. Vale. Well, I think you could find it like easily. I don't know, europea, ¿no? Vale. So. And the other film she mentioned, it's called 22nd of July. Or June 22nd. Vale. Estoy aquí yo en plan. That one is on Netflix. Okay, and now could you answer the questions, please? Thank you.
Yeah, actors, go.
Hi.
Why don't you start this one?
Can you just state for me the question for that was for me and Andre?
I got it. Also, this one was one of the questions that I wanted to actually ask you, because since I'm also studying children's development and teenagers development and all that, one thing that really, she said that too, that struck me was how young you were when you were doing this, and I thought that in what way making that movie affected you, if it did, like on your development, or the way you saw things, or the way, or the things you liked, I don't know. If it affected you at all in the decisions you would make in the future. Since I think that as far as I know from the research I've done, I think Ben went to you and he was basically like, listen, we're gonna make a film where I'm going to train you to do a shooting. And I'm like, this is kind of like a sociological experiment too. These kids are like 15, so I'm interested in if that really happened, if that could affect you that way.
Well, it only affected my life in a positive way.
I hope you didn't kill anybody. I'm sorry, I haven't done it. I'm sorry.
I don't think, for me, and I think for Andre as well, it was a first experience with a meaningful artistic project. And I know for me, it altered the course of my life forever. I don't know that it gives anyone special knowledge of why these events happen. I think the psychology behind killings like this is as ancient as any other killing. And I think it's been well studied. It's a long-running mystery, but in terms of the artistry and my personal life, I have continued to be involved in film projects to this day, and have maintained my relationship with Ben and Andre. And I do think it is strange when I can remember one time there was a shooting, I don't know where, it was a shooting in a school in the Midwest somewhere in the United States. And I remember seeing on the television, they were talking about this killer's social media pages, and they showed it on the screen, and my face and Andre's face were like moving on the screen as they were moving through it.
When was this?
That this person was a fan of the film.
That must have been awful.
It was very strange.
Yeah, must have been. Sounds weird. But about that, because I think you are a filmmaker now, right? Is that right? And do you think that doing this movie at that age kind of like motivated you going that way? Or I think you already have that sort of artistic vibe.
Sure, it was something I knew I was interested in since childhood, but it's just the providence of life bringing people together, and it certainly reinforced my personal interest in making films.
Could you repeat that? Because I missed the last word.
It supported my interest.
Vale, gracias. Alguien tiene que venir aquí a cambiarme el sitio, tío. Es que no oigo nada. Perdón, I'm sorry. I can hear correctly. And Andre, how was it for you after making this movie?
Yeah, I had known Cal before we started making the movie because we had done theater together, and then through meeting Ben, I ended up with I have an older brother, but now I have an extra older brother, and by extension, Chris. And I think it was the first time creatively that I was treated like a peer and a collaborator. When you're a teenager working on stage, the director treats you like a child, regardless of what your part is. And driving around for a summer with this random 26-year-old who's talking to you like an adult, just gives you a sense of all of the things that are possible in the world, because now you're being treated like an adult. And I remember after we shot that final sequence, that big shooting scene, we had crew, we had craft services, we had all this stuff. And I got home that night and I was so amped and so excited. And the first thing I had to do the next day was mow the lawn. And I was so disappointed. And I knew that that was the thing I wanted to do. And I haven't been able to do it since, but I would love to do it again if I had the chance to.
Okay, but
Kat, I'd love to add something to that. Do you need to translate first, though?
Yeah, but again, I missed the last word. Like, after you said, wait. Básicamente, cuando estaba haciendo el papel en el set, la manera en la que la influyó muchísimo la película ha sido más que a lo mejor las decisiones que ha tomado en su vida, en tener una referencia de lo que puede ser tener un adulto a tu lado que te considere como un igual. Y eso es lo que realmente te motiva a esa edad, para que no te traten con paternalismo ni como si fuera menos que esa otra persona. De hecho, esto es algo bastante necesario en las relaciones de profesor-alumno, que no se lleva a cabo, y precisamente ahí es de donde nace la motivación real. Y cuando él estaba en el set y estaba con Ben, que ahora considera como si fuera su hermano mayor, y por consecuencia Chris también, que es el hermano de Ben, le trataban como un igual, lo ponían a conducir en el coche con los ojos cerrados, no sé qué, y él se sentía seguro, ¿no? Y lo que me he perdido es que... Sí, no, pero no es eso, es cuando dijo lo de que cuando terminaron de grabar y tal, y se fue a su casa y estaba súper nervioso en plan, wow, Dios mío, y una palabra. Mo, vale. That was the word I missed now. Okay, good.
Yo puedo preguntar.
Claro.
Estoy aquí.
Are there any more questions around?
Quería responder una cosa de lo que dijo André.
Es verdad. Ben, I just finished translating everything.
I just wanted to quickly add too that I was about 10 years older than these guys when we made this movie. It was my first experience being responsible for someone else's kids.
Oh shit.
I never babysat before, but they kind of started off as my artistic collaborators and like younger brothers, and also sort of like trainer children for when I might have children someday. And then over time, they grew into being like in so many ways mentors for me and teach me about things. And we're all, Cal, Andre, and I are now all adults that have kids. And I think what's interesting is from the perspective of like forgetting the movie for a second and engaging with children and treating them as equals and letting them have the responsibility and enjoyment of collaboration. If our society or cultures could do that somehow with everybody,
That's
I
right.
don't think that there would be a lot of mass killing.
No, not at all. And it's also something necessary, and it's something that I wanted to talk about too, either like about these roles and everything that I was gonna talk about. Like, we're gonna leave that for now, but because I think you like said it perfectly. Básicamente lo que está diciendo Ben es que cuando él trabajó en este set era la primera vez, bueno, era su primera película, era la primera vez que él era el adulto en la habitación. Él tenía como 26 años y trabajaba con los actores que tenían 10 años menos que él. En este caso, él simplemente lo que hizo fue trabajar con ellos como iguales y se convirtió como en este ambiente tan colaborativo del que pudo salir un producto tan bueno, en el sentido de que se hace muy tangible, muy real, donde quieren llegar cada uno de ellos, tanto con el guión como con la evolución de los personajes y demás, simplemente por el hecho de haber podido crear esa especie de unión colaborativa en la que simplemente pues eso, no se paternaliza, no se juzga bajo ningún concepto y se tratan a todos como iguales, y básicamente Ben lo último ha cerrado ya diciendo que eso es básicamente lo que él piensa que podría hacerse en comunidad. Claro, pero esto es un trabajo que tiene que venir del mundo educativo y también está muy unido al contexto social y cultural de cada país. Es muy difícil. I think it's especially difficult since with time I feel like schools and all sorts of entities of education are advocating more for individualism more than working collaboratively and all that, and that's what makes it harder to like move forward to that kind of society. Había entendido lo que he dicho ahora, ¿no? Más o menos. Vale. And now I would love to move forward and focus on how this movie inspires and how like the symbiotic relationship between comic and films. We are going to talk about this in a more artistic approach. Vamos a centrarnos un poco en el aspecto artístico y tal. Si tenéis alguna pregunta que quisierais hacer...
Aroha tenía algo que decir.
Sí,
vale, primero
quería preguntar dos cosas que espero que tengan que ver ahora mismo con lo que acabas de introducir, pero es que
sí, ya vamos a pasar a un aspecto más artístico.
Quería decir primero que si le puedes decir que agradezco muchísimo y que me intriga muchísimo también la manera que tiene de narrar las cosas en esta película, en plan, por ejemplo, si hubiera elegido enseñarnos la violencia que sufren Cal y Andre en la escuela con un quarterback ahí pegándoles o algo así, como, losers, no sé qué, tal, y ellos ahí sufriendo. Y sin embargo no se ve nada de eso. Y la única escena en la que se ven interactuando con otra gente es, por ejemplo, un vídeo que me encanta, que es el vídeo de Andre de Calen en su cumpleaños, de chiquitillo, que se ve la incomodidad, o sea, y la limusina, la prom. O sea, en vez de enseñarte violencia, en plan de los machotes del colegio pegándoles y ellos siendo ahí sometidos, se ve como que no encajan para nada en la sociedad y no saben qué hacer cuando se relacionan con otra gente y están como totalmente fuera, y es como súper violento sin utilizar la violencia. Y quiero saber hasta qué punto, o sea, tenía como eso pensado, y decidí que le agradezco muchísimo que lo haya hecho así, porque me llega mucho más, me siento como, no me siento identificada con ellos, pero me siento más, puedo llegar a sentirme más identificada con ellos de esa manera, en vez de que haya sido algo como tan literal, en plan, como una violencia tan...
Porque es más con la soledad que con...
Sí, con la incomodidad hacia la sociedad, no encajar.
Vale.
No encajar de esa manera tan brutal en una sociedad, ¿sabes? Más que te peguen contra la taquilla o te digan loser, ¿sabes? O algo así, es como...
So basically, the way that Aroha is a comic artist from Barcelona, she's internationally published as of now, and the way that this movie and both the narrative of this movie and the characters and everything inspired her, the world this movie gave to her, was the way that you show no violence at all, in a way, towards the characters of Carl and Andre, except for like the prom scene, which is basically in Kyle's birthday, where he looks like super uncomfortable. Poor thing. Ay, mira, se descojona.
Creo que, dile que porfa, creo que es mi escena favorita.
She says that Kyle's birthday is her favorite scene. And also, I would like to add that it's real life. And also, I feel like it's also, because she could identify more with the feeling of this kind of not belonging anywhere. Also, when we can see Andre, who is not in the prom, cleaning and like, you know, and we can see these sorts of kinds of violence towards these characters that make them feel this awkward and this out of the world, and which I think feeds their feeling of like, I don't belong here, then I have to become something higher for them. But basically, Aroha, thanks you for the way you depicted violence in this movie towards the two characters who are the ones that are going to like shoot up the place and everything. So that's the way it inspired her.
Me gustaría saber cómo tomó esa decisión de no enseñarlo en plan con un quarterback ahí empujándolos y eso, y cómo decidió enseñar la incomodidad más que la violencia hacia ellos.
And she wants to know, how did you come up with the ideas of depicting the scenes like this, more like maybe showing them being you know, pushed around by a quarterback or pushed into their lockers and more cliche stuff like that? How do you come up with this scene?
Yeah, it's great question. And, you know, a huge amount of it was a combination of research at that time, mostly about Columbine, and my own like personal experience. When I saw Columbine happen, I was in a pizza place and it was on the news and a TV in the corner of the pizza place as I was getting a slice. It was really confusing because it was a shot of a high school, like from a helicopter, which hadn't really been something I'd seen on TV yet. And I was like, what's happening? And I found out what's happening. And I feel weird about this to this day, but I just remember my instant thought was, wow, I'm surprised this hasn't happened sooner. Just kind of sad. And I think a big part of it was kind of like thinking about how all of the narratives that came flooding at me through the media after Columbine about why this happened felt utterly inadequate to what it was that I saw and felt. You know, none of it added up. I mean, I'd been bullied. I'd felt alienated. You know, I'd been in murderous rages when I was in high school. You know, and I knew a lot of other kids that had it way worse than me. And I guess I just felt a combination of, you know, empathy with not just the victims, but the two shooters as well. Added to that, this feeling of ever deepening mystery you could never really get to the bottom of. And I think that informed creating scenes where you could say, well, look, they're so alienated, or look, you know, this one character is in a slightly different, you know, socioeconomic layer of society, or look, they're different, or they're weird, they got bullied, they complain about being bullied, whatever. But without seeing those episodes and just hearing sort of a narration of them from the characters, there's always a question of something you don't know, some doubt, some mystery.
Vale, había entendido la mayoría de lo que ha dicho, ¿no? En plan, ¿traduzco o seguimos para aprovechar lo último? ¿Seguimos? Vale, porque había más preguntas por ahí. Sí. Allí, sí.
Hello. The film was shocking, certainly.
A little bit louder.
Louder?
Yeah.
The film was shocking for me because I thought it was real footage at first, and the scene of the shooting, was so disturbing. But I liked the moments of Carl and Andre saying, "Okay, how we do this, the suicide. 1, 2, bang. 1, 2, 3, bang." that was like a relief moment. And I wanted to ask Ben what goal he had with the film. What did he want to accomplish or add value to society in some way? I don't know. And ask Carl and Andre how did they feel playing those characters and having to play like this psychological state. And that's all. Thank you for the film, by the way.
Muchas gracias.
My answer to that question is I didn't know then and I don't know now. I felt compelled to make art about this thing that happened, and I felt compelled to make it in a particular way, and I didn't. Look, everybody that I knew at the time that I was conceiving the project, before I even met Andre and Cal, warned me away from making this project. They were like, "Oh, don't do that. You know, why would you want to make this movie? Why would you want to make this movie from these characters' perspective?" And I don't know. And I don't know. I will say that personally, it's very obvious what value it added to my life. But also, it's been a while now, and all I've ever gotten from this project really is people like Alba kind of coming out of the internet to say, "Hey, what you made connected with me, and it mattered to me, and I want to share that with you." So I guess there's that.
Which is good, I think.
Thank you, Ben.
¿Traduzco? ¿Seguimos?
Vamos a tirar porque queda poco.
Vale. Una cosa, one thing. La pregunta para Andre y Cal, ¿me la repite, porfi? Ok. So Andre and Carl, how did you feel when you had to portray these characters in this mental state and everything? How was it for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that from a very sort of selfish, creative, cynical perspective, when you read the script, you think this is a really great part. This is a really interesting role. There's a lot of sensitivity around it. There's a lot of potential to do it very, very badly. And that's also an exciting challenge. And then you have to take a leap of faith in someone like Ben, at the time 26-year-old director, thinking, can this guy actually do this and not make me look like an asshole? And very successfully, I think he pulled that off, which was great. And then in terms of like how it felt, you just work every scene for what it is on the page and what you're doing with your scene partner, which is almost always, for me, it was Cal. And you just try to do the best work in the moment. And then hopefully when it comes together, all those best moments have created something, you know, worthwhile that'll last. So we got very lucky in that sense because it worked out.
And I try not to think at all about, I've always found performing works best for me with as little conscious activity as possible. And it's just sort of, so how did it feel? It's like a spirit overtakes you and you're not in control. And in the end, the film is there.
Isn't that like the shamanic nouveau or something? No, that's a Nicolas Cage joke. I'm sorry. I had to say that.
Okay, one last question.
Well, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Ben, first of all, you are surprisingly bright, so that's very, very funny. Do you understand? Surprisingly bright.
Like you are so cheery and like...
Yeah. Surprisingly funny.
Should I be like cutting myself with a razor?
Well, first of all, I don't think that the main characters are naive at all. They are intelligent and they are very conscious. At least they express that. And I wanted to say that it's very important, the social message, children killing children. So, from a social perspective and not for a psychological one, talking about narcissism or isolation, like individuals, they say a very important thing in the tape about meaningful, about live life meaningfully. And I think they are asking for some kind of acceptation of diversity. So for me, that's the most important message. It's like they now are, people are listening to them now because they kill people. Do you understand? But the message is not, there is not more reasons at all, because it's true about the bullying and it's true about the difference, but what Andre says in that tape, that for me is very important, is that, hey, we are all the same, please respect. So that's all I wanted to say. And also I feel that it's brilliant, the neutral voice of the girl describing the shoot essence without any feeling.
That's right. About that, I told her that you have something to say about the operator girl at the shooting scene, but please answer to what she said, because it was really interesting.
I just want to quickly answer that with an anecdote from right after we made it. My dad watched it. When my dad watched this movie, his comment to me was, "You did a good job, but you know, the thing about people like that who do stuff like that is you always know. You always know who they are. You can always spot them. You can always tell." And when my dad told me that, I felt really sad. Not because I felt like I was being criticized for being a bad filmmaker, but because I felt sad that my dad had to tell himself that in order to deal with the fact that we live in a scary world where bad things can happen that you can't anticipate.
Well, we have to cut that. I had one last question to close with. Well, we have to finish now, but I have one last question for the meeting. Well, I have to say that I see a lot of poetry in this film, and I think that there's something human all around this film, and I would like to ask you all three, how you see this film 20 years after 20 years after the making it, how it aged for you, how you see the films.
Like us, like a bunch of weirdos here talking about it. I'm sorry, that was a joke.
No, I really want to hear what Andre and Cal have to say about how it feels 20 years later, because it is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, if you had told me 20 years ago, hey, here's what's going to happen, I certainly wouldn't have believed that. It's humbling to get, Instagram messages or social media messages, or to be at an event like this or something that we did this summer. We were 16 years old. When you put that in context over a lifetime and you think you did this thing that still stands up, it's incredible. And I think mostly a testament to Ben's directing and putting the film together. How does it stand up for me 20 years later? I have not watched it in 18 years, so I cannot tell you because I don't know. But the fact that there's still events like this happening and that people still find the movie is incredible. So more than anything, thank you for having an event like this to make us, get to talk about this thing we did. It was really fantastic.
Thank you. Also, one last thing before we go, because I have to say this in YouTube. Sorry, and we cut this. Because we couldn't make it sooner. That we both want to thank you as comic authors. We couldn't go that far into that subject, but the whole movie and both your characters inspired us profoundly to make our own stories. So the outcome of this movie, I think it's always a good one if you watched it like the right way, and that's what we are trying to achieve by doing this sort of thing. So thank you so much for doing this movie and for participating here and for being so nice and for having a cat coming and going around. That was nice and cute too. So are we done?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. This was really, really wonderful.
Thank you. Uy, qué rápido. Joder, me parece que les has cortado, ¿no? Que iban a decir algo y ha sido como ¡boom! Pero no lo corte, hijo.
Mateo se ciñe un
horario y ya está. Bueno, sentimos si hay alguna pregunta que se ha quedado fuera. La verdad que yo pensaba que en una hora nos iba a dar bastante tiempo y un mojón, pero bueno. También quizá tanta gente, tanto traducir y demás, ha gastado bastante tiempo. Pero bueno, ahora es la inauguración de la exposición de Aroha, por eso Mateo tiene tanta prisa, que ha dejado a esta gente ahí así. Nos vemos aquí en Galería Central.
Ben se iba a venir arriba ahora y ha dicho hasta luego.
Y va a enseñar el gato y todo seguro.
Ben iba a decir, quiero deciros que gracias porque... Hasta luego, Ben.
Venga, cállate ya.
Cállate ya, Ben.
Bueno, nos vemos ahora en Galería Central. Para los que queráis ver la obra de Aroha Travé, está ahí expuesta. Están originales, ¿verdad? Y
sí,
te vas a...
Son prints, pero hay uno que me he cargado hoy y quiero originalizarlo, o sea, voy a dibujar por encima.
No, sí, va a dibujar ahí ahora en directo por las paredes y todo el rollo a lo mejor y demás. Que nada, que muchas gracias por venir y por haber participado y habéis hecho preguntas súper interesantes.